All right. So, we're sitting here. Swig of Dr. Pepper for the working man.
I had a little Mountain Dew. Which this is a cheat day for me because I actually do smoothies.
I got a lot of cheat days. Yeah.
Today was a fat boy day. I was working on my my fighting weight, so
tell me what inspired you to get in the position that you're in now.
Well, I guess this is a second career for me. My first career I was a police officer, and after I decided that really wasn't for me anymore, this was a bucket list item. I already had my Class B. I was working on the Customs and Border Protection contract for a company called G4S Secure Solutions. So my job was to take the illegals that were caught by Border Patrol and U.S. Customs, kick them back south of the border. Adios. And sometimes, what's Russian for get the fuck out? I don't know. Bospagania or some shit like that. But yeah, know. We've caught Russians, Indians, dot not feather, and other assorted people that have been here. We even had a Canadian or two. We had the transport to a detention center, so it wasn't just Mexicans. That's what it was. It wasn't about what country you're from. It's about, are you here legally or not? Mm-hmm. And if you get detected and you get picked up, well, if you're from Mexico, we'll just take you back to the border and say, well, there's Juarez. Have a good one. Yeah. Better luck next time. But if you're from Guatemala or Russia or Canada or anything else, you go to a detention center and then you get flown back. But anyway, did that. It was a good paying job, but due to our previous president's weak border policies, I got laid off. So I'm like, well, I could stay a good company man, which I did, and transferred to Washington, D.C. Took a $5 pay cut to move to one of the most expensive places in the country, and almost freaking became homeless because of it. Then I finally said, you know what? I've been thinking about being a trucker off and on. I've been watching this asshole on the internet. I can't remember his fucking name.
Journey 95.
No, Ike Stevens. Journey 95. No, Journey 95 was the first one. When I really started doing research, that's the guy that I got bit by the bug with that guy.
Oh,
and then I followed it up with Ike Stevens.
He only has like 20 videos out there, and they're all addictive. And he went away. I
mean, it just gives you a warm and fuzzy, kind of like Indiana Jack, but it was just better. I mean, I love Indiana Jack, but I mean, there was just something about Journey 95 that just, I don't know, it's Journey 95. He's the man, the myth, the legend, and he's disappeared off the face of the earth. If you know where Journey 95 is, you know his real name and contact. I'll tell you this right now.
His name is Vince.
Anybody, I'm making this promise right now. Anybody that finds Journey 95, puts him in contact with the STA, and he does an on-camera interview with us, we will go to where he's at. I will pay $1,000 bounty on that. $1,000. I will pay you this
$1,000 bill.
I will give you $1,000, especially if I get to meet the guy, because he's the one that got me into this position right now.
I can't give you $1,000.
$1,000.
My $1,000 goes on cruises. Okay, that's just how it goes.
Well, my $1,000 goes into my truck sometimes, but I will scrape together $1,000 reward to meet that man. But it became a bucket list item. So after doing research and talking to a couple buddies and going to truck stops and offering to buy truckers free dinner in return for just telling me how it really is, which that's what I recommend. Before you come into the trucking industry, take your ass down to the truck stops. Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee? In return, you spend a few minutes with me telling me how it really is in the industry. And I did that, and none of them would take me up on it. They said, we'll just tell you what it is. It's fine. The information's free. And they kept referring to me as Future Driver. Okay, Future Driver, we're going to tell you how it really is, Future Driver. And that was at the Petro in El Paso. So anytime I go to the Petro in El Paso, I get this warm and fuzzy. I'm like, I was right there when I finally decided to become a truck driver.
Did you go to the West Texas town of El Paso, and did you fall in love with the Mexican girl?
Not really, but I ran through quite a few.
It's a song. But he actually...
Hi, Valerie. Look at where I'm at now.
Is she a woman of questionable gender?
No. Her gender was not in question. Matter of fact, I'll pull up a few photos of her a little bit later. I'll show
What companies did you go with at first?
I went for my training in my first year, I went with Stevens Transport. I've heard they've changed since I went through. When I went through, they taught you how to do your fuel calculations based off a fuel stick and dipping your tanks. They said never rely on your fuel gauge for nothing. Pretend it's broke. So I learned how to do calculations based off a fuel stick and know exactly how much fuel I have, what range I have, everything just off of a fuel stick. No gauge. They taught you old school map reading. They would give you complex multi-stop routes through major metropolitan areas, coast to coast. They like it'd be the load from hell. Unless it was paying good, then it'd be an awesome load. But like all of them were downtown somewhere in like 7 different cities, and they'd make you route it out, and then the instructor would just chew your shit if you ended up on it. He's like, that's great if you want a $500 fine. Oh, that's great if you want to hit that bridge. How about you try it again? You know, I mean, literally, they would tell you to do something. If you went, what did you say? Literally, the instructor would go, that's not what I fucking told you. I mean, it was almost, sometimes, it was funny, but it was militaristic at the same time. So when I went through Stevens Training Academy, was respectable. Not the company itself. Company is, come on, the Aaron family, they suck. Yeah, I'll just say that right now. They suck. Yeah. They're stingy. But their academy was good. But I went there, became a company driver, leased a truck through them, which I would not recommend to anybody. 89 cents a mile. Or no, it was 83 cents a mile.
83 cents per mile.
Ooh,
wow.
No, you can't run a truck for 83 cents a mile. Okay.
Golly, I thought 90 was low. I've never 83
a mile.
And how long did you do that?
About 6 months, and then I went to their tanker division, worked in the oil field for $16.50 an hour, 6 days a week. Yeah, that got tiring real quick, and I decided to go back to being a police officer and worked in a small town north of Lubbock, and did that for about 6 months, and then realized living in small town Texas, basically, if I didn't leave, I was going to end up starting my friggin' service weapon, you know. Anyway, I went from...
I live in a small... I don't even live in a town, but
you live in East Texas. We're talking about West Texas Panhandle, nothing around. Just...
That's kind of cool, too. You and I are on different wavelengths when it comes to easy,
but I was also told to live in a 1.5 square mile area where the only rental property available was in an old nursing home with the, oh my God, I broke my hip handles and the friggin' I'm having a stroke pull cord. Literally, the bathroom had that call for nurse rope that you would pull and an alarm would go off somewhere else in the building. And then, of course, we had... a lady with Alzheimer's. She'd always be knocking on my door wanting to report her car stolen. No, her car was sold 5 years ago because she was no longer competent to have a driver's license. But she always wanted to wake me up in the middle of the fucking day to make a report. And it's like, the one thing you remember is that I'm a cop and he lives here. But your rest of your brain is Swiss cheese. Anyway, so I went back to driving a truck with Prime. Now, that was definitely a step up from Stevens, but they don't call it Crime Inc. for nothing. Their lease program and how they run trucks is ridiculous.
Now, let me ask you about this, because you've got people on YouTube that will swear by Prime, and they've swore by Prime a lot.
Let me ask you this.
So what's the difference from your story and theirs?
Well, let me ask you this question. Has any of them ever known the feeling of seeing their name printed on a truck title?
One guy, and that's Woody. Woody is one guy that I've ever heard of do it.
And how long did it take him to
I don't know. That's something that Woody's going to have to explain. He may have already done that in video. I don't know Woody.
There's always going to be one guy in the bunch that makes it through.
One guy.
Statistically, though, people getting into company lease trucks will never own that truck. It's a statistical fact. It's not open to debate. I don't want to hear it. Yeah. If you're leasing a truck directly from the company, you're not free to leave with that truck without undue financial hardship. Then you're just they control you, and they can run you out.
Yeah.
And companies have done that. Back when they did a lot of these lease purchases, which some companies still do, they'd wait till you're 5 months, 6 months away from paying off that truck, and all of a sudden you're not getting the miles to pay for that truck.
And that's one of the reasons why back before I started leasing a truck, I said rookies shouldn't lease truck, do lease purchase. And the reason why I said that is because of what you're talking about. Low pay, and then where the companies control you like that, and they'll screw you over, especially if they don't like you. And that's the reason why when people will say that I am doing opposite of what I said. No, I'm not a rookie, for one. Well, if you ask some people, maybe I am. But what I did extensive research, and for me, the only way to make that work is if you had a load board and you did not have. But we'll talk about that here in a second. But
you know you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean,
when a dispatcher, fleet manager, whatever they want to call themselves, and this is a prime example of prime, would say, well, you had a good week last week, so we got to kind of spread the wealth around. You know what? It's individual effort. I'm in business for myself. I don't care about that other guy. If that other guy's not hustling, that's on him. Okay? There's more than enough freight out there. If you don't have the freight internally, you better be going to other brokers outside trying to scoop up freight. I don't need to be hauling your cheap freight because you don't have another driver to put it in. You shouldn't have friggin' made that deal in the first place. But you're going to stick me with it, and you're still going to make a profit while I barely squeak by. Fuck you. Quite honestly.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Not going to deal with it. And I'm sorry about the language, but that's exactly how I feel about it. And that's why I left Prime. That and a buddy of mine called in a favor. Basically was like, hey, what are you doing? I'm driving a truck. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Of course, ignorance is bliss. And he goes, well, I got this crap hole, shithole department about 60 miles away from Austin that the chief and deputy chief just got indicted, and it's just all in shambles, so the interim chief's looking for good guys. You have an internal affairs certification, so you'd probably be good for this. Would you want to come over? No, not really. Well, too bad. Pack your shit. You owe me a favor, and I'm calling it. There I go. Ended up the acting chief of police of that department, and then they decided, because of politics, to push me aside and make the guy that had ties with that former administration interim chief, which acting chief of police, that was like a appointment by the mayor. Hey, you know, I need you to fill this slot until us and the city council figure it out. The mayor was pushing for me, and they got into a shouting match during executive session. You could hear them while we were standing outside, just like, I can't believe you're picking this guy over this guy. Well, they picked the guy that's a lazy piece of shit that they had to fire 4 or 5 months later because he said, and I quote, after the first assistant district attorney, which happened to be a female, landed a conviction against his former chief and his former deputy chief for theft and official oppression, which is basically theft, well, or doing another criminal act under, you know, your authority as a police officer. They got convicted. He went on Facebook and in front of God and everybody said, I'd pay someone to kick her in the coochie, and I wish someone would punch her in the ovaries. Well, he got fired because the prosecutor went to the next city council meeting and said, I don't care if you have a fucking murder in town, we ain't prosecuting it until you remove this guy. So they were forced to fire him, their little bitch puppet boy. So he was gone. But rewind a few months before that, when they did me dirty, after I did a good job, a stellar job in the opinion of every honest person in that town, as the acting chief of police, and deserved to be the interim chief of police and quite possibly the permanent police chief of police, I basically flung my badge at the guy in the office and said, I'm not working for you. Yeah, I'm not working for a dirty cop. Are you kidding me? I'm out. Already have my job lined up with Schneider, or on the Masonite account, because the writing was on the wall. So I literally packed my trash, and that Monday I was at Schneider, working the Masonite account, and that's when I finally got to meet Ike. And,
yeah, I saw him. He was all stalking me around and said, hey, I've been watching you on YouTube. I'm like, okay. And he's all I want to tell y'all something about Shooter McGavin here. When I remember we were sitting down in the office and you were being all PC. Mm-hmm. You were just like saying, and you've got this thing when you start talking, you go, you know, trying to be all business-like. Hey, everybody knows me. I ain't business-like, never, ever. But now, you know, obviously, you've got your business side and then you got your let your hair down, but you've got the same problem I do.
Right.
No hair, but anyways, moving right along. Go ahead, tell your story.
Yeah, the first time I met this guy, I've maybe been on the Masonite account for a week or two, and I'm just the whole time I'm thinking, when am I going to run into Ike Stevens? When am I, at this point, he's like a celebrity in my eyes. It's like, man, this is this guy on YouTube. This is the guy that got me into trucking while I'm turning 95. Yeah. And then finally, I see him walking across the docks. The one dock door's open while I'm bumping the dock of another one. He's just walking right up at it. I'm like, fucking God, it's like fucking Stevens. Holy fucking shit. Now it's just like, oh, it's fucking Ike, whatever, But then it was like, holy shit, that is fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, because basically, we've, a little bit while we were at Masonite and stuff, gosh, you were there for what 6 months or something?
For the last 6 months. Before Estison's Logistics stole the account.
Gosh, what? I mean, it opened up the door for you to do this. It opened up the door for me to do what I'm doing, but gosh, what a piece of crap company Estison is. Listen, I haven't done this as much. I haven't crap talked Estison as much as I should, because Schneider paid us well. I said it in a video here a week or so ago. $25 a drop. I had 43 cents my own. How much you got paid?
Every time we bumped a dock, and it only took 15 minutes from when we pulled in the lot till we were pulling out. That's how efficient we were.
Now, we were doing average 20 some odd drops a week. Sometimes more. Sometimes
I had a couple times. I had both Austin and San Antonio. You would head out from Dallas, and you would start Austin. Then you would cut over to San Antonio and finish that up. I've had, I want to say 13, 14 drop loads on one trailer. So 13 multiplied by 20.
25.
25, I'm sorry, by 25. Plus every mile is paid, which for me, low man on totem pole, I was at 35. So 43, 35, do the math.
Well, we didn't make our money. You made money off miles, but the big chunk, the thing that you really can bank on was the drops. 1,800 miles, maybe at all you got, and some people at 1,800 miles they starve.
In a 4 to 5 day period, it was anywhere from 20 to probably about 35 drops in that week, which was nothing. It went like clockwork. So that's 25, 25, 25, 25 multiplied by 35 times, plus your miles for the week, which is probably about 12 to 1,500.
And we had time, I had time to do a lot of videos from back behind those stores and using the free Wi-Fi. Of course, I don't need free Wi-Fi now. Verizon Unlimited, thank you very much.
Right. I got AT&T Wi-Fi with Cricket SIM card. I'm cheating.
So that ended. I went on to do what I'm doing now. You went on to do something else. What'd you do?
About 3 months before the contract ended, and before we knew that Schneider lost the account, by the way, something I failed to say, we were undercut, by a crap company. We were getting paid what we said we were getting paid, and we got undercut by Estison, and they didn't cut it anywhere else but on the driver's salary. It was $11, maybe $12 per drop. Not even half of what we were getting. Yeah, no one else undercut Schneider. None of the big boys could do it.
No.
The ones that could actually do it. So yeah, Estes Logistics, the way they did it is they found out our pay scale and said, well, we can get drivers for less. So that's how they undercut us. And then they tried to make it sound like we were going to make the same amount of money by having this overcomplicated rip off the driver pay plan. Literally, it sounded like this. No joke, no exaggeration. Oh yeah, it'll be $11 a drop, but we're gonna pay detention pay after the first 45.53 minutes. You're gonna get $10 for the first 10 minutes and 53.256 cents for the following 7 minutes. Then if you're still there, knowing full well we're never there more than 15 minutes, so we never see any of that pay. Oh, and then there's layover pay. If it's the third Sabbath of the month or after, and you know, you got a woman of questionable gender in your truck. We're gonna pay you X amount of dollars for the first 7 minutes and $2.99 each minute after. It sounded like the pay scale for a 900 number sex line. $2.99 for the first minute. It's like, it was a joke. It was a joke. And I'm sitting there, and I wish I would have let the guy have it. I let the guy have it.
He did. I mean,
at first,
yeah.
What did I call? I called Essence Logistics a scab company.
Yeah, he did. He called it right
to the guy's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And me and Bob, y'all heard me talking about Bob all the time. Me and Bob were sitting there saying, "This is the guy talking, who you're talking about." And Shooter was like, "I don't care. He deserves it." Pretty much. Yeah. Yep. I mean, said it right to his face.
And the guy was all polite. And he said, "Well, do you want to hear the pay package?" I'm like, "Okay, you can tell me the pay package." And that's when he went all that, and I looked at Ike and Bob, and I'm like, we're never there more than 15 minutes because we know how to do our job.
We never did really entertain
and we have relationships with these people.
Going.
So they roll out the red carpet. When they see our trucks pull up, it's like, Masonite's here. Cool, rip them off. You know, rip and run, rip and run. We're never going to see that detention time. So we're going to see $11 a drop. That's back to what Werner was paying years ago on the account. Schneider came in, undercut Werner, and doubled the pay.
They did.
So this company came in seeing that we can't do that unless we cut driver pay. So they did what Werner did back in the day, sacrifice driver pay and driver lifestyle so they could steal the contract. Any company that does that, scummy.
Yeah, I mean,
scummy.
That's just it. It's just...
You couldn't do it legitimately, so you just stole from the drivers.
Yeah.
You hurt their families. Fuck their families, whatever. You know, we don't care.
They tried to use a tactic on me
50% pay cut.
You know, we could get you into being in the office. You could be in the office. You could be in management. And I'm like, first of all, I'd have to move to the city. I don't want to move to the city. I just want to drive a freaking truck. That's all I want to do, and make money and have easy go fishing on the weekends. Go on cruises. But
well, you know, got off on that tangent. To get back what you originally asked me, what I did after the Masonite account ended, got to rewind 3 months before it ended. Before we knew it got stolen by that scabby ass company from California, I just happened to go to our operations manager and said, "Hey, look, I'm interested in learning kind of the other side of the house. You know, been behind the wheel. I'd like to learn more of the management. I wouldn't mind sitting in, kind of seeing what you guys see." And he's like, "Well, how quick would you want to promote?" I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a minute. I'm just talking about, you know, 1-year plan, 5-year plan. I just want to learn the inside, the office aspect of this, just for knowledge." Within 3 months, I had an offer and a promotion, and I promoted right under this gentleman onto the same dedicated. Come to find out later, after speaking to him more in detail after everything kind of played out, that him and the division manager got together and said, "This is the guy that fixed the issues for the nighttime operations of this major dedicated in Dallas." I think he's unorthodox. I think he would be able to do it where others have failed, and I did. Within 6 months, we fixed a lot of the issues at night. And to quote the division manager, and this is a direct quote, "You are the first person in 9 years since that position's ever existed that's actually fixed the issues, that's actually been able to do it right." So that was a kudos. That was definitely a big feather in my cap. And when I finally decided to go back out on the road, I got that itch and I became a Schneider IC. Within a couple weeks of leaving, I found out that account went from losing $2 million last year to being not only profitable, but winning a company-wide award, best dedicated account in the company. Second largest company in the world, we were the best dedicated account. In 1 month, we grossed over $2 million when originally we were losing millions. And we didn't have to cut driver pay to do that.
Yeah, and that was under a man. Now I'm not going to say his name. I don't know if we.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to be out there like that.
But both of us can vouch for him. If he's watching this video, he'll know. But he treated all the drivers, and I guarantee you, all those Costco drivers are treated fairly. I should say, fairly, and I don't know if they're getting paid well. I don't know, but I can guarantee you this: he's fair, he's easy to work with, and not only that, he's freaking smart. You got to be smart to manage, and some people are just not smart, and he is. But anyways, I'm off the leg.
Yeah, no, awesome guy. The problem is that particular contract, because of the customer doesn't pay well. They don't pay both ways like Mason and I did either, so you're constantly having to deal with
that stuff. He can't help.
I remember one night, a gentleman, a member of management, not for Schneider, but for the company we were contracting for, ended up using some foul language directed at me and at Schneider. And when my boss found out about it, he called one of the top people over at the customer and basically said, I'm going to have that guy come in right now. This is the middle of the night. You let your guy know to let him have it. So I sat there and I'm literally shouting in this guy's face, don't you ever fucking talk to me like that. I don't care who the fuck you think you are. You'll never fucking talk to me like that. Under permission from both Schneider higher management and the customer higher management. They said, let this guy have it. Put him on final fucking notice. And that's, most companies wouldn't do that.
No.
But, and I remember he actually showed up. He actually drove from downtown Dallas, his place in Deep Ellum, and drove down. So just at the tail end of me, balling this guy out friggin' drill sergeant style in front of his boss, upper management made this guy and his boss report to me in the middle of the night. And I got to sit there and tear him to shreds. Paul walked in right at the tail end of it, just stood back and watched. And I went, you got anything else, boss? Like, nope, sounds like you pretty much handled it.
I could see him saying that with almost a little grin on his face a little bit. Yeah.
He just sat there, he had his little, he dips every once in a while.
Yeah.
And so he has, which he doesn't look like the type. To describe this guy, he looks like he's fresh out of college, clean cut and all that. But,
I tell you, when I first met the dude, it was like, oh boy, here's this kid. He's just going to freaking, all right. Me and Bob kind of, Milton, but it was mainly me and Bob. Me and Bob were sitting there. It's like, oh boy, here we go. We got this kid. Now, I take that back. We did have a glimpse of hope, because the first boss we had, he was a kid, and we loved him. He ran off and left. We had an older guy there. It took us a while to get to, to be happy with him, but then we warmed up to him. But then he got promoted, and Paul took his place, and then like, oh boy, here we go again. We got to train another guy. And I tell you, he was one of the best bosses I've ever had.
Yeah, I'd agree. He's the golden child. Yeah, he's going to end up, if he stays with Schneider, he's going to end up, at the executive level eventually. But honestly, I think someone will steal him away at some point. At some point, someone's going to flash a shit ton of cash in front of him, a shit ton, and just go.
I mean, the thing is, if you did something wrong, and I have, there was times where he got on. Well, I would say get on to me, but he
was never condescending. It was never like.
It's like, you need to do this. You need to do this. He was basically informing me where I stood, and he did it fairly, and he treated me with respect, and that's all I asked for.
He didn't come off as a friggin' douchebag trucking manager. It's hard to describe unless you work in the industry. You just know the condescending tone that someone has. It's the type of guy you just didn't want to let down.
You could go outside and smoke a cigarette. I don't smoke, but you could go outside and smoke a cigarette with him, and just BS and have a good time, but go back into the office and it's back to business.
Sorry, my bad.
So, but anyways, we're off his leg.
Yeah.
I'll have to actually send him a link to this video, so just
right,
so
because
we can
the last
watch
video of involving me you turned them on to was involving Kokomo, Indiana, the Chrysler plant in a bag. Thanks, Ike.
I
really,
thought
what
for
I
sure
wanted,
had
wanted
seen it
Paul
by
to
then.
see.
I thought for sure because everybody, that thing had like 1,000 views. I don't know how many.
Yeah, because people started calling Chrysler corporate.
Mm.
Yeah, I got word back unofficially that
it's not on YouTube anymore, so
no,
don't
I
even
took it
bother
down.
looking for it.
After it served its purpose, I took it down. It was embarrassing. It was a hard video to take, or to take, but it had to be done with this particular customer, and it basically involved no restroom facilities and being detained for 5 hours, not able to leave. So what are you supposed to do? No restroom facilities at a huge plant. No restroom facilities. And I was literally told at one point that, oh yeah, those restrooms are only for our union drivers. Union drivers, yeah. Okay, fuck you. How about that? Anyway, long story short on that, there was some disgusting things that I had to do, and I ended up putting the aftermath on video to drive home a point. Yeah, remember that next time you buy a Chrysler or Dodge product, which I won't be. So.
Yeah. So, but by that time you were already an IC.
Yep. I was an IC for a few months, doing good. Schneider IC is not bad, but as of late they've been adding on more and more micromanaging bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, for people that are actually buying their own trucks and bringing them over, you're gonna have to strap more shit to your truck. Eventually there's gonna be cameras. They want that on-guard system retrofitted to your truck, so you can't, you know, it's not like, oh, my truck doesn't have it, okay, no problem. Now it's like, if it's not on there by such and such a date, you're out, you're booted. They no longer lease on small fleets, so all you'll ever be is an individual owner operator. No more small fleets. You can't build anything. You're stuck.
But leasing a truck through them, how long did you do that? And
10 months.
10 months, and that opened up the door for you to get this.
Yes, it's one of the more honest leases. Again, it's still expensive, but you can make good money as a Schneider IC because you don't have a dispatcher going, oh, well, you had a good week last week, so we're going to give the good loads to Joe Bob, and you're going to eat shit for a week because we got to balance it out.
Yeah.
The good with the bad. No. If it's there and the load's available, it's yours.
And they'll vet you too. They I don't want to.
Oh yeah, no new people.
I don't want to seem like we're on Schneider's leg, but you know, because
if I was on Schneider's leg, my truck would still say Schneider.
We would. I mean, we're always, you know, I've always been honest. I mean, there's obviously some things I can't say. And one of these days I may be able to get on my high horse, on my soapbox, but it has really nothing to do. Probably nothing to do with anything that I've ever done. It's actually some things else I won't even discuss. But, gosh, where was I going with that? No, man.
Leasing a truck in Schneider.
Yeah, I mean, but basically what it did, it opened up the door for you, and
financially.
Financially. But when did you decide saying, hey? Because you bought this truck and you leased it on with Schneider.
Right.
So what was that point? Because you didn't go through the whole lease. You went 2 months shy, but you found this truck. And what made you decide to say, hey, this is the route I'm going, and this is what I want to do? Go ahead and tell them the story about this truck. And
well, you know, the first thing I've always done, even when I first started with Stevens, is I started reading and listening to different trade publications. OIDA has Landline Now. You got, to a certain extent, Truckers Report. Again, be careful. That's a lot of bullshit out there. A lot of axe grinding.
A lot of truckers. There's a lot of knowledgeable people on Truckers Report, but there's also a lot of people sitting around in a truck stop diner, sitting there typing on their computer, talking to you on the Truckers Report. So remember that.
Overdrive Magazine, DAT puts out a weekly averages, stuff like that. So I just started paying attention. I started listening to all that stuff. So, well, all these other drivers out there are sitting there, you know, listening to music, and that I'm absorbing information about the industry and trends and everything else, asking questions. Google's a great tool, you know. What's the 5-year outlook going to be? What's the 10-year outlook going to be? What's the innovations coming down the pipe, you know? How can I stay ahead of the curve? How can I weather the storm better? How can I start building? And again, that's all through knowledge. So, well, some people just sit there and bitch. I ask myself, okay, what's the problem? What's the solution to the problem? Okay, a bitch is not a bitch when you also come to a solution. You know, if you're sitting there complaining about something, but you also say, well, here's how I think we can fix it, then you're not just complaining. You're actually trying to solve the problem, and that's a big difference. So I ask myself, well, why am I making? I should be making this, but I'm not. What do I need to do? How do I need to position myself? Fast forward to being with Schneider. Finally got being a police officer out of my blood. I think permanently. Came close to applying to be a reserve officer with Dallas, and I didn't have the heart to turn the paperwork back in. I had all my shit lined up, and I just couldn't turn it back in. I basically said, no, don't need it. Don't need the headache. Anyway, so about 10 months in, had a few $1,000s in the bank, listening to Dave Ramsey religiously. I'm saving, I'm putting money away, and I said, I got a few thousand in the bank, and I've been looking at truck paper. They got an app, and I've been looking at how much these trucks cost, and I seen consistently, and I knew through these trade publications that the MaxxForce engine was a notoriously bad engine. But I started reading information where people have figured out, including international, figured out what the issues were and started fixing them. But people were still scared to death of the engine, so these trucks were selling for like 25% of what they should have been valued at, and would be valued at if they had like a Cummins engine in it. But because it had that MaxxForce engine in it, no one wants to buy them. The market's still flooded with these trucks. Flooded. You can pick them up for 15. I think I slightly overpaid. At $21,000, I might have overpaid for this truck. I could have probably picked up one if I had more patience and that. I could probably picked one up for 15, 16, 17. But I wanted to buy from a reputable dealership. I wanted to have a choice of a large variety of them at one place to where I can go through each individual one, run it through its paces, and then go, here's my top 3, and then go and research the VIN number and see everything that's been ever done to the truck. And I was kind of monitoring the situation, doing research, hours and days and weeks and months of research into the MaxxForce engine in the ProStar truck. And I'm like, okay, there has to be a way. And then I finally read that 2013, the last year of the MaxxForce, before they went Navistar with SCR technology, which is Cummins technology that they borrowed from them. I finally realized that, hey, they really got a lot of these issues corrected. Won't be the best MPG truck. I'll be somewhere in the 6s, maybe low 7s at times, but I get this truck for next to nothing. So I seen a dealership had a whole fleet of them in, identically spec'd, all from the same company. This was one of 8 that was on one particular dealership's lot from the same company, all identical. And I went through each one. And this one I finally got into, turned the key on, and they had it on a particular radio station, like a smooth jazz and R&B radio station. It's like the truck called out to me. It's like, this is yours. This is yours. It just something called out to me about this truck. All the other ones, I'm like, ooh, I'm not sure. A lot of them were just fine. No issues with them. I got in here, cranked this one up. I'm like, this is home. This is my truck. This will be the one. So I took the VIN number, pulled up a rig dig. Then I went over to Summit International, asked them to run the VIN. Coincidentally, this is where that's the dealership that this truck came from, brand new. So they had detailed history on everything, and they were happy to pull it. International has great service, by the way. International dealerships are the best to work with, bar none. I've done Pete, I've done Kenworth dealerships, I've done Freightliner sucks. But International, cleanest shops, friendliest staff. They really go out of their way to take care of you. I never have to wait to get my truck into an International shop. The longest I've ever waited is 2 hours from the time I arrived. I have this problem within 2 hours. It's in the shop, getting work done. You can't get that at a Freightliner. Freightliner will make you wait 24 hours or more before it even touches the shop.
You had this truck on for what, 2-3 months?
2-3 months.
Before you with Schneider, you had it on for 2-3 months until you came over here.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want to tell them about where you're at now?
Well, I'm at Travel Loco. So, and I know there's a few other weirdos over here too. I've never even heard of this company.
Joey!
Yeah. Joey! Stop dragging your teeth, Joey! Oh, God.
And the karaoke singer, I don't even know, is like, you know, karaoke. He got a flat billed hat singing country music and stuff. And, you know, no offense, but I don't do flat bill hats. And I only do country music when my wife's listening to it.
There you go.
But anyway.
Well, what a lot of people don't know is for the past like 4 or 5 months, I was calling around to different companies off and on, smaller companies. What I was looking for is a company that A, I could build a small fleet onto, B, wouldn't charge me more than 15% to use their DOT number, and that would allow me to solicit and or use any direct customer or broker that I want. Every company I called basically said, oh no, we'll dispatch you your loads. Nope. Then I see Matt and Will's video, and we were making fun of it for days. Like, oh, they're gonna go lease a truck with Schneider.
We make fun of everybody,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
But they're the best to make fun of.
Yeah, they're
good people. We love them to death, but we make fun of
we thought they were gonna go to Swift or something, just be a mouthpiece for some other large company. Then they did the reveal. And it's like, green Volvos, well, that's definitely not Schneider or Swift or anybody like that. And then they revealed what's on the side of the truck, Travel Loco. I'm like, Travel Loco? What the fuck is that? So I started doing research. Come to find out, their company is built around exactly what I wanted to do. That's their business design, is transparency with the driver and the driver's freedom to go anywhere and haul anybody's freight with their DOT numbers. And they're their own brokerage firm, so if you get your direct customer and there's more than just one truck that they need, they can farm it out to other people. Well, you take what you need. I mean, it's just, you can do virtually whatever you want. And they'll do business background checks, so if you're dealing with a customer, they'll do all the investigative work for you, free of charge, check everything out. Yeah, they have a good, their Duns and Bradstreet business credit score is good. They pay their trucking companies, you know, they pay the brokers on time. You don't have to worry about not getting paid, you know. Or they'll be like, hey, you know, yeah, they'll rip you off, you know, stay away from them. So they'll do business background checks for you, all that type of stuff. So not only can you go and haul anybody's freight you want, they'll even background check them for you. So basically I can start my small fleet here, which is my next step. I can have complete control, including doing the dispatching myself, or I can have my drivers dispatched through really good and competent dispatchers. They function as load brokers too, so they know how to negotiate, and they've developed personal relationships with the people. Literally, I've had loads that were listed on the board for $800. I go, better call Schneider for $800. I ain't hauling that for $800. And I'd hit him, like I hit this one back at $949. I'm like, that's my absolute crackhead price, bottom basement, not a penny less. And I get a call back 10 minutes later from my dispatcher saying, screw that, I got $1,100 out of the guy. Fucking high five, bro. And it's constantly like that. It's like, my basement is this, try to get him at this. And he'll get him at the other number. He'll get him at the highest number. And it's like, maybe I should start asking for more money. Because my goal is gross $1.80 a mile or more. After Travel Loco's cut, that leaves me at $1.56. That's my lowest. That funds my retirement, that pays all my personal expenses, that pays all my business expenses, leaves me playing around money. But I've been averaging $1.87 after Travel Loco's cut. So I'm doing fine. And Eddie, the owner of Travel Loco, just called me about a week ago and said, hey, I found a group of brand new reefer trailers available for the same price that you're paying for that dry van. Do you want to pull a reefer? The guys over here pulling reefers are grossing over $6,000 a week without fudging their logs. Okay, let's make that clear, because, you know, we're not on e-logs. So the big question is, oh, are they burning their books? No, they're not burning their books. I asked them straight up, are you cheating your logs? Nope. You know, it's all about board and legal. Doesn't mean you're not going to have some wonky days where you're gonna do some split sleeper and really feeling like you're cramming stuff in. But at the end of the day, you can log it all legal, and they're clearing over $6,000 a week, gross. So after all the expenses, even for the guys leasing brand new trucks, which I'm not, they're bringing home $2,000-$3,000. Not a problem.
This is cool stuff. So you're going to have this truck paid off in October.
And I bought it in October, so I did a 1-year note through Daimler Truck, because it was a Freightliner dealership. I know Daimler Truck Financing International, but they do that.
So y'all could get a truck if you did it right. Good credit, obviously, right?
I only had a 670, and it's not hard to get. When I started with Schneider as an IC, 10 months previous, I was at a 590.
So
All you have to do is, and I'll have templates. Anybody interested, get a hold of me. I'll send you the template to challenge any negative credit stuff on your credit report. 9 times out of 10, they're going to straight remove it, because basically you're going to say, I demand this, I demand this, I demand this, I demand this documentation under this law, under this code. And if you don't provide it and or don't remove those items off my credit report, you're going to get sued. And then if I don't hear from them, it's followed up by a letter of representation from my attorney in Dallas, which only once has it gone to that step, and it was with an unscrupulous debt collector out of Chicago trying to collect a debt that was aged out, and he basically threatened to have me arrested, which is a violation of the law and everything else. So I basically said, okay, chief. I just basically had a representation letter sent basically saying, we intend to sue you. Don't ever freaking call us again. We intend to sue you. You better fucking disappear. And they disappeared. Nor did they put anything on my credit report. So, most credit debt collectors are creeps, and they don't have the proper documentation to pursue you. So as soon as you challenge them, they remove it. That's how I was able to take my score from 590 to 670 in the matter of 10 months, no problem.
So in 1 year, you're going to have this thing paid off. One calendar year, 12 months, you're going to have this paid off.
And it'll have less than 500,000 on it.
Less than 500,000
It has 434,000 on it now. I bought it at 396.
Wow, that's crazy.
And it has a warranty on it for the life of the loan.
All these
engine,
people,
rear, trans, and after treatment system all covered.
All these people, like myself, I'm gonna say I'm these people. I'm leasing, and my truck was new, and I've been in my truck for 2 years now. And other people like Prime and other lease, purchase type stuff, they're financing their trucks for like 5 years, 6 years, whatever. I don't know some of these people.
And at the end of the day, they end up paying over $200,000
$200,000. And that's me. I'm paying $9-10 a week on my truck.
I seen this recently, and I'm not going to call out who it is, but we happened to talk about him this evening. He did a parody of you, so you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
His boss started a YouTube series. I think it's called The Trucking Executive or something like that. Nice guy, great information. But there was one thing that made me scratch my head and go, ooh, what the hell? And that is his quoted price for a Volvo 780. He was talking about how this female driver, Class A fuck up, messed up one of his Volvos real bad and was just an all-around bonehead. Needs to go back to Swift or go to Barber College, one of the two, because ain't gonna cut it with a real company. Anyway, they terminated her after she just totally trashed a truck. But he made a comment that, yeah, this is a $237,000 truck, Volvo 780. I'm like, $237,000? I priced one of those out earlier this year, brand new, at the dealership for $155 out the door. Why are you spending $237,000 on a $155,000 truck? And that's not with the APU. That truck wasn't equipped with APU. So this isn't including an APU, which an APU at the most is only going to cost you $10,000 more. Heck, my Brigmaster APU, if you can hear that little humming in the background, that's my Brigmaster. I only paid $5,300 as a refurbished model. So yeah, that made me scratch my head. But yeah, there's people spending more than they spend on their house on a truck. Yeah. And look, I'm doing the same job with a reliable truck. This truck burns no oil. Every Cummins engine I had's burned oil and used coolant. This doesn't use coolant. This doesn't burn oil. I go 15 to 20,000 between oil changes. Never have to top off once. And I check it every day. Never have to top off once. This is supposed to be a notoriously bad engine that almost put International out of business.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people just badmouth, including myself, but I mean, I've only driven one Max Force.
And you know, I'm not trying to be cocky. Anything can happen at any time and make me look stupid. But as of right now, I have, 40,000 miles on this truck since I bought it. It has been good to me. It's had a couple small little hiccups, one warranty repair. Yeah, trucks are gonna have little issues. But I've always been able to get it fixed on the fly. And the one major repair, which was about $3,000, was covered 100% under warranty. I didn't spend one red cent. I was down for 2 days, didn't spend one red cent. Was late to deliver a load to the Department of Corrections in Oklahoma, but the broker was understanding, and I did the dancing bear routine so well that even being 3 days late on that load because of breakdown, he's like, "Can we call you again to haul another load?" He still wanted to work with me. I fucked the first load that he had, but I was so professional with the guy. He's like, "Man, that's refreshing. Can we do more business with you? We don't care if you're late on our loads. You're at least nice to work with." I'm like, "Yeah, if I'm in the position to help you out again, absolutely. And next time I won't be late, I promise." But yeah, that was covered 100%. 100%. And there was supposed to be a $100 deductible, but again, International, they're great service. Service manager came out and basically said, "We'll make that little adjustment and you owe us nothing. Have a good day." Shook hands, out the door. Out the door. Oh wow, police are running to something.
They're going.
What, 4 or 5 police cars?
Yeah. So after this is paid off, what is your plans to do after October? What is your plans? Besides going on a cruise, what are you planning on doing after October?
I before I take the next step, which obviously the next step after owning a truck outright would be to own more than one truck outright. My goal is to set aside at least $10,000 to $20,000. Then go and finance probably another 2013 International, maybe a 14. You can get the ones with the newer Navistar engines in them for relatively cheap too, and they're a lot more reliable than the Max Force. So, long story short on that, I plan on actually owning a small fleet. And having them leased on with Travel Loco and building from there. And I'm already in talks with a few people to bring them over to my operation once that happens. Basically handpick. I don't want people I don't know. I want people that are like family to me, that I know I can trust them with the equipment, that I'm not going to get the truck back tore up, wrecked out, smelling like a dumpster fire inside. The headaches that these trucking companies go through, I don't want to go through that. So just a couple trucks, that's it. You can make a good living off a couple trucks and pay your drivers well. And if you got drivers you can trust, you can pay them more because you don't have to hold back as much money to cover their fuck-ups.
And you're able to do this, like I say, you started this last October and have it paid off. And let's just say 2 or 3 years, where do you think you're going to be in 2 or 3 years? Let's just say in 5 years. Where do you think you're going to be in 5 years? Where's your plan?
Probably 4 trucks.
4 trucks.
And a very small terminal. By terminal, I mean, and I'm looking at Kansas City, either Kansas or Missouri side, preferably somewhere near downtown. Basically a gated-in, paved or gravel lot with an office / living space for me to operate my company out of. It's centralized in the center of the country on good freight lanes. There's one particular person that it's been a running gag. You're fired today. You're fired. But he brought up a couple things on a serious note that really caught my attention, and definitely be looking for a type of driver like that. Basically, he lives in Denver, bad freight lane. I wouldn't run my truck out that way. And I made a comment to him that, man, on a serious note, you'd be hard to hire out there because it's just such a friggin' black hole of bullshit. And I'm not gonna haul beer for $1 a mile on one of my trucks. Kiss my ass. No, you make a shit ton of money off that beer and you load it all the way up to 45,000 pounds, and you're gonna pay crackhead prices? Fuck you and your skunky ass beer. Everybody asks me why I drink craft beer. That's part of the reason. You fuck drivers. Don't appreciate that. You need to be paying at least $2 a mile for that heavy ass bullshit load. But anyway, I digress. He said, well, hell, in that situation, I would just fly in, drive for 2 or 3 months, and then fly home and take a week off. I'm like, if you're willing to do something like that, I'll pay for your airfare back and forth. That's a damn good deal. I can make a ton of money and pay you an awesome salary off of that type of arrangement. And then seeing his abilities business-wise, talking to him that, this particular guy, I'm interested in doing more than just having him drive for me. I wouldn't mind, having a guy like that as my right-hand man and build something. 2 minds are better than one. And there's a couple people, too, that are just naturals. One guy didn't even go to trucking school. He learned off of YouTube, borrowed a truck, passed the test, went and drove for this guy that didn't even know how to run a trucking company, and within a couple months was negotiating his own freight with brokers as a straight up rookie. That guy's self-made.
Yeah.
But yeah, just looking at no more than 5 trucks, probably more 3 to 4.
But there's all these people out here talking about how they're going to be a business owner, fleet owner, while they go to KLLM.
CEO of a trucking company?
CEO.
You're not a CEO of shit if you're leasing a truck from Prime. You're not a CEO of shit. I don't care what articles of incorporation you have. You're not a CEO of shit.
So basically, they're just buying into
I'm not
all
a
the
CEO.
BS. Yeah.
I'm not a CEO. Where's my corporate board of directions? I'm the chief executive officer. Where's my chief operations officer? Where's my CFO? Where's chief financial officer? Where's my people? I'm a general with no army. Give me a break. You're not a CEO of shit. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to impress people.
So and
impress them with actions, not
these
words.
are the same people that are brainwashing. And listen, we're not trying to talk trash on them as much, but the trucking society has made people think a certain way, and they buy into it because they're too lazy to research it for themselves. And you're basically saying, and I've sat there and watched you do it, and it's basically easy for you to do. In 5 years, this man right here can own a trucking company. He already does, but I'm talking about multiple trucks.
I don't own a trucking company. I own a truck.
I own a truck, but you
I'm not
can.
a CEO of shit. I'm a sole proprietor. Okay, that's it. It's just me and a used truck.
but you can if you wanted to.
Eventually, yeah.
You've already played. But even though it's 5 trucks underneath, my goodness. All these people sitting there talking, but they're still driving for Prime.
Yeah. I call it mental masturbation. Ooh, I'm gonna own a fleet one day. Ooh, I'm gonna own this truck. Are ya?
In all reality, it's just
out of all those people that we know of, only one did it. Congratulations, yeah. Woody. You defied the odds.
Yeah.
And actually own your truck. Congratulations to you.
But in all reality, ask him how much he actually spent for that whole truck.
Exactly. How much did you get ripped off on that?
So, $20,000, 20 some odd $1,000 on a truck you bought for a year. When you ask him how many miles he has on that truck, he's probably got way more than what you have on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
quite possibly.
And he's just now, after so many years of buying it, he's just now getting it.
Getting that taste of freedom, not having $3,000 a month.
And we're not trying to bash Woody on this. It's just so many people do it that way, but there's so many, the easy ways right there in front of you, and you could go and do exactly what this man's doing right here.
Your first year, you're gonna make somewhere in the 30s as a truck driver. After that first year, doors start opening up. If you live lean, within 6 months to a year after that, you can save up enough for a down payment on a $20,000, $30,000 truck. You can get an aftermarket warranty on those trucks, and trust me, from experience, I was on pins and needles the first time I had to make a claim through one of these, and it was Premium 2000 Plus. I'll name them by name. And yeah, they're not the most polite on the phone, but they lived up to their contractual obligation and paid for repairs. And that's all I give a shit about. I don't care about you being nice to me. Just don't wiggle out of covering something that you said you were going to cover. They covered it. Almost what I paid for the warranty, they paid out on that one repair. So it's already paid for itself. So if I have one more warranty repair, then it's more than paid for itself. So, and now again, after treatment system. That's, the DOC filter wore out prematurely at about 420,000 miles. So it had to come out. So it lasted from brand new to over 400,000 miles. So got a new DOC filter and everything put back together. It's been running fine ever since. But my suggestion would be get your credit score to 670. Don't worry about 700. Just get it to 670. Daimler Truck will finance you at 670. They are a top tier truck lender. Top tier. Go to a good reputable dealership. I would recommend Tag Truck Centers in Memphis, Tennessee. What's his name? I got his business card right here. I just want to name his name personally. Go talk to this guy. Nicest guy you'll ever talk to. Good support after the sale. You won't feel taken. This is a family-owned trucking. Basically, one of the sales managers bought the company from the former owner. Basically said, "Hey, you want to retire? I've done good here. I think I saved up enough money to buy this dealership from you." So a salesman bought the company, and then he trained his sons. And now his sons are in the business in the finance department, which they have really good connections with Daimler Truck and everything else. But no, this guy's name is Tim Stroud, Stroud, and he's the used truck sales rep for Tag Truck Centers in Memphis, Tennessee. Here, let's see if you can get this on video. This is his card right here with his information. I'll hold it up there for a second.
I'll put it on the screen there.
Okay, there we go. Nice guy. You can always reach him by his cell phone. He's always honest. I watched this one guy walk in there while I was getting my truck and ended up hearing him ask a question. Which truck would you recommend that won't break down? And he goes, none of them. Trucks can and will break down, and I'm not going to promise you something I can't get. I can't deliver on. I'll tell you how honest this guy is. I was so happy with the service and knowing kind of the vehicle sales industry. Sometimes these guys, for the amount of work they put in, they don't make a lot of money commission-wise, especially on a $21,000 truck. And the amount of time he spent. I tried to give him a $100 handshake, $100 cash handshake. He refused to take it. He said, "Put that towards maintenance of the truck. Just promise me you'll bring me your business again." I'm like, "You got it." Just awesome, nice guy. Even drove me to and from 20 miles away, both ways, to and from the Schneider terminal in West Memphis while we were doing the deal. I spent 3 days with this guy. I had the truck picked out, but I mother henned and hung over the truck as they got it cleaned up. I had him do a couple small things, reseal a couple small things, so on and so forth. And they did it, and they didn't charge anything for it. So it was an as-is truck. But they made they made a bunch of these small repairs for free. I said, "Hey, can you clean this up, reseal this? Can you take it over to International, drop it off? I'm going to have them go over everything," which that's another thing I recommend. Make sure you either take an experienced diesel mechanic with you or take the truck to a third party, preferably an OEM dealer for that make, model of truck. I bought this from a Freightliner dealership. Well, I took it over to International dealership and had International go hands-on with the truck. Pull everything. Hook up the computer, everything. I paid about $250 for that. And they asked me, "Well, how much they charge you for this?" I said, $21,000. Like, take it and run. Holy shit, that's a good deal. Yeah. This truck's clean. We give it a clean bill of health. Absolutely. Even with a back source, we give it a clean bill of health. You got a good truck. And I have. It's done great for me. But long story long, get your credit score to 670. Have 25% down. Now, of course, they're going to want a little bit more. You just lean on the finance manager. "Hey, 25 is what I got. You know, I'm not buying a brand new truck. I'm not even buying a $60,000 truck. You know, tell them to be happy with the $5,000. They're going to come back. Since you're a first-time truck buyer, you're going to be hit at 16% interest. Okay, that's fair. You're establishing commercial credit. No one's going to be able, I don't care how high your credit score is, first-time commercial credit on a truck, you're going to get hit at 16%. It's a lot better than 30 or 50%. Trust me, and there's people paying 50% interest. Do the math on what you're paying for a lease truck. Holy shit. And you don't have any ownership rights. They can yank it out from under you.
Yeah.
They can't yank this truck out from under me. They can't starve me out of this truck. As long as I'm making payments, I'm fine. And I'm not making payments to a trucking company. And I have ownership rights. So they can't just cancel it. Anyhow, so I have 25% down. Budget yourself for a $30,000 truck. And it wasn't just internationals. They had a whole fleet of Mack Pinnacles with 350,000 miles on them. Great condition for $25,000. Whole fleet of them. I almost flipped to a Mack. I almost went with a Mack. But I'm like, nah, I really like the international layout. So I stuck with international. And I've been happy with it. But building my fleet, I'll be building my fleet with Tag Truck Centers. And this isn't a commercial. They're not paying me for this. I'm not getting any referrals for it. That's how happy I was with them. I didn't feel I was at a dealership. I didn't feel I was ripped off then. I don't feel I was ripped off now. I trust those people. And I trust to build my business with that relationship. And so I'll continue to buy used trucks from Tag Truck Centers because I have a relationship with them. I know Tim. I got his cell phone. He took care of me, and I'll let him take care of me again. So, but that's what you need. Get your credit score to 670. Get 25% down. 25% of 30,000. Have that in the bank. You might want to have a little bit more in the bank for incidentals. They typically say 10,000 in the bank. Me, I'm a minimalist. I don't have family at home or anything. I was able to take a big risk because if I fell flat on my face, I could just scurry on over to a company job and continue going. If you've got a wife and kids at home, make sure you have a few $1,000s extra in the bank on top of your down payment. Me, I pretty much emptied my bank account and basically said, throw caution to the wind, here you go. Let's run. And it worked out for me. But at a minimum, that's what you're going to need.
Cool deal. Well, hour and 7 minutes.
Holy shit.
That's all right because we're going to make one full video, which is probably what you're watching now because it's going to be unedited, raw, what you see now. But what I'll probably do is cut it all up in different videos and stuff like that. That way it's easy for people to find certain information, what's going on and all that. So and some entertainment value and all that kind of good stuff. So anyways, this is Shooter McGavin right here. Travel Loco is who he's working for, where he's got his lease, doing whatever. And we'll talk to y'all whenever. Truck show. Hey, we're going to the truck show. So
Matt's.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the next time you'll see him in my videos. Maybe it's a month away. You may never know. Anyways, talk to y'all later. 73.